And boom, according to that I am live. In fact, I need to switch the screen there a little bit. It's good to see you all. Welcome to Tokyo Tonight. And yes, that was 40 seconds ahead with left on the countdown, so I'm going to see if I synced it. Usually it takes about, I don't know, about 40 seconds for a lag, and there we go. It is now live. I can see the video playing over there. I actually did a little bit early. I'm in good form tonight, which is good to see. Mr. Cordy Chip, I'm glad that your music just finished and that you can join us. I hope that I'm saying the the name correctly. Actually, I know I always say it that way. It's good to see you all. So yes, good to have you back. I did the big 2015 roundup last week, which I hope you enjoyed. So this is the first, I guess, regular week of the year with regular news, and I am on time indeed, Mr. Barringer. And by the way, I do appreciate the Australian lamb marketing thing that you put on Facebook. Yes, that made me want lamb to eat. Yes, there's been a lot going on this week. I've just made a new track which I put up yesterday. I've been learning how to use iMachine. In fact, I'll tell you what, just because it's kind of done and because of the way that iMachine works, you just let it play in the background. Oh, and I'm sorry about that, Mr. Cordy Chip, so I'll call you Corey if you like. Or is that by mistake? Well, anyway, let me just check. I should be able to play some sound in the background on this. So if I open up on this, if I open up my SoundCloud on my iPad, I might be able to actually show you. Which, by the way, there is my SoundCloud. That's the mobile site. But the track, I've made two tracks this week. One is Itadori Cruising, which is actually pretty good. They're both drum and bass tracks. The other one is Skytree. So I'm going to play Skytree, which is the track I put up today. Came out kind of nice, I think. Let me just check. My little Sony headphones. Was that alright? Okay. So a bit of background music there. Hope you can still hear me okay, but yeah, I'll play that a little bit while I do the intros. It's good to see you all. Let's do a different sort of a thing around this. Yeah, I'm glad that you liked it, Hikosaemon. I'm glad that you listened to it. Only 17 people have. You're a member of an elite group of people who have listened to that track. Although I'm glad that you are one of them indeed. So let's go through. Let's go and see who is in the house. We have an enormous amount of likes. Thank you for that. By the way, so Lucas Musser, always good to see you. And Sean Bro, indeed. I was trying to get back to your message. I've been running around tonight, but yes, indeed, I am on. Tom Cook, I don't recognize that Twitter handle, but thank you for the like, and good to have you on board. I assume you're watching. Razo Bull, Mr. Cordy Check, Phoenix 787. Who else we got here? We got Robert 1967 Canada. Renee Hopman, great to see you. I see some talk of cleavage there apparently. Sarah is jealous of Robert's cleavage. Who else have we got there? Thank you, Blinky Bill, for the like. Good to have you liking. Emily Louise Maitland, great to see you, and Happy New Year to you, Emily Louise Maitland, good to see you indeed. Taro Sato, hi, konbanwa, indeed. And okay, I can just hear part of the sound of my speakers there, so I wasn't sure what was going on there. And I guess I'll find out if you can hear me or not over all the noise of the music. KNS TV, good to see you. And now on 5, Chris Robinson, great to see you. And Saint Sunday, hello from Germany, nice to have you here, Germany. Saint Sunday, good to have you on board. Sumi-chan, nice to meet you as well, Sumi-chan, thank you for joining. I see we've got Barringer, we've got Finn. Hey, good to have you, Finn. Finn, I love that name ever since The Force Awakens. Great character. Icarus 18, indeed. Good to have you on board. DJ Okawari, Piroshki 07. Good to see you guys. I don't recognize Piroshki 07, so welcome if you're a new viewer. Good to have. Always nice to see new names, actually. Even if you're just people who just watch and don't type, it's just nice if you say hello every now and then. So I'd like to say hello back to you. As you can see, William Murphy, good to see you. Is another name I don't recognise. Great to have you watching. Thank you for joining tonight. And Sonny, great to see you, of course, tonight. Yes, I enjoyed sharing some baile funk knowledge with you last night. Baile funk is a fantastic genre of music. I collected a whole bunch of baile funk stuff at one phase that I had. He was asking about a track on a video the other day, which was baile funk, and I love that genre. Eltonic, great to have you. Lara and Muzio, great to have you back. It's always nice to have regulars around as well. Yes, Phil Nolan. Dave Hunter, great to have you. And by the way, I think this track is pretty sweet. I'm pretty happy with how this came out. In fact, the track that comes after this I also quite like, so I think I'm just going to let this play in the background. Question, how are the levels? Because I can't really tell the levels of, I guess I could check, because I can listen to myself and the music on this. So let's, except I'm doing this off there. This is going to use the iPad, not the computer, but I assume you can hear me okay. Yes, it's good to have you. It's good to have all of the, and indeed James O'Hara, good to see James O'Hara as well. Who lied to whom? I hope it wasn't me. Anyway, you can barely hear me. Okay, I'll turn down the levels in the song a bit. Well, why not? We're getting into the show now. But that's it, someone has to tell me. Used to watch Me with Reina and Co. Okay, you mean Reina as in comical Reina, or Reina as in Deep in Japan Reina, who we've had once? Yes, thanks for the feedback on the music. I'll turn it down a little bit, and you know what? It's got another minute, but I'll let it go to the next track, Eidodori Cruisin', which is another new track, and I'll let that play in the background anyway. I wish the focus on this thing would be sharper, but anyway. So that is my music, Tokyo Digital Crew. All the people on there putting up some awesome music lately, so be sure to go and check that out. Here are my topics for tonight. The first one is the one that I'm playing right now, Skytree. If you like it, I'm glad that you think it's perfect now. That's much better, although this is a 40-second lag, so I might have overcompensated for it. But yes, this track is it's there on SoundCloud. You can listen to it. I appreciate likes. It draws positive attention to the track. Now you can't hear it. Oh. Okay, let's try that. The track is going to end soon anyway. Hey, J Kong and DNME, good to have you. Indeed, holy crap, you're here. Kangen Kodas, also good to have you along. Yeah, it's good to have everybody along. I'm going to let these play in the background. This track is on SoundCloud. You can download it for free. You can use it on monetized videos or video games or anything. Commercial use, anything, doesn't matter. That's what it's up there for. It's up there to be used, but at the same time, leave the likes and stuff because it draws positive attention to it. And, this is me learning how to use new tools, which if I have some time at the end of the show, I might even show how this looks and how I set this up in iMachine. So the next track is indeed the track that's playing right now is Eidodori Cruisin', which is another drum and bass track. I use some of the same pads in a different way. This was the track from earlier in the week where I'm still learning how to use this thing. So enjoy the next track as I continue. First thing, last night I had a great show actually, looking back at top stories of 2015 with Gimmeabreakman on Gimmeabreakman channel for 2.5 Oyajis. We are back. For now, we're going to be going on Saturday nights. It is a bit tough for me doing shows. Thank you, Say Sunday, for that or for that retweet. It is pretty tough doing shows both on Saturday and Sunday. But we've got to figure out the routine. For now, it is going to be Saturdays, 11 p.m. So make sure that you catch that. If you like this, you're going to like that. We had a great show just talking about news from last year. Yes, indeed, by the way, this is the type of drum and bass music I used to play. I used to specialize in playing. I used to get gigs playing this type of music. And this is pretty close to the type of sound. I mean, done in a very basic way, but this is what I used to play. Music like this. So I quite like that I could... what iMachine lets me do more than K-oscillator is it lets me create music along more of the sound that I want to create, which is nice. So anyway, last night I had a pretty good show on 2.5 Oyajis, I thought, and so yeah, be sure and go and check that out. Victor also, did I put it in here? He uploaded a video which was what he considers to be his best. In fact, you know what? it's not going to be there, so I'm just going to go back to this. But if you look at, there's a video that he did of his end of year thing, which came out super cool, which was good. I'm sorry, Lucas Massa, there was no Danny Chu last year. Danny Chu was actually, by the way, I did get in touch with him, and we did talk about setting up a show a couple of times. He got like really sick at one point, like he was like bedridden. It is good. He seems to be active again, and that is good news. And yeah, I think that I will. Thank you for reminding me and reminding me. I will try to reach out to him and get him on at some point. Because yeah, he knows about me. I know, and we've had actually a couple of good chats before. Not that we wouldn't say I know him that well. It would be good to get him back on. But anyway, check out Victor's video. It's like a 22-minute video, but it's his end of year, and he put a lot of effort into the editing, and it did come out really good. You can see all those years of editing coming off really well on that. So this track is winding up, by the way, so when this ends, I'm just going to pause it. So we've got like 8 more seconds. So I'm just going to stop it there. Boom. Actually got another one of my tracks there, Enter the Room, which isn't a bad track either, but I'm just going to leave it there anyway. I hope you enjoyed those tracks. But get Becky on. I'd love to get Becky on. Actually, we're getting to that. We're going to get to that. But let's go through the other stories. So, as I mentioned last night, they've decided that for the new Olympic logo, which has been through this huge drama of bid, plagiarism and bid rigging and so on, they're going to do basically what happened with the New Zealand flag referendum. After having public submissions, open submissions of anyone who wants to submit a design for the flag, for the new Olympic emblem, they're going to have a committee that's going to whittle down the number to 4, and they are going to not so much have a referendum, but they're going to get opinions basically on the final 4 and make a decision based on that for the new logo. So hopefully there is going to be yes, I know we'd love to get Becky on, I know, but I'm sorry about that. But anyway, yeah, it looks like very much like the New Zealand flag referendum. They're going to have like a public hearing on the final 4 to decide that, which is good news in a way. I mean, it means that it's going to be more transparent, and we're going to have less chance of having a crap logo this time. Although at the same time, I think they are slightly plagiarizing the New Zealand flag selection process, and I've mentioned that. There's a great video here which has been going around on YouTube. Go watch it. It's been, I think I caught it on Facebook first. It's a nice little video, just showing how kids are just raised to be normal in Japan, and it's not to say that they're good. It's kind of sad to say that they're good. Just use Becky's face as a logo. Great suggestion there, Phoenix. That could work. Although I'm not sure she would want her face associated with former Prime Minister Mori. I don't know. But anyway, it's just a nice little social experiment thing where they got some kids, who appear to be like, I don't know, probably about between 5, maybe actually probably even younger. Actually, some look like they're about 3 or 4, maybe going up to 6 or 7. And they do this experiment of dropping a wallet near them. And the thing is, I'm from a pretty peaceful country, but I'm pretty sure you wouldn't get 100%. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't get 100% on kids picking up and returning a wallet in New Zealand. And it's because of the parents. It's because parents teach their kids to be opportunistic with these sorts of things. Presume other people are going to take advantage, and because other people will, you take advantage as well. And that's the problem with a lot of Western societies. That's the logic of the mentality a lot of people have. It's not the mentality I have or ever have had, but so many people are like that. It just means you can't trust anyone. In Japan, that mentality, it's not that people like that don't exist, but there's such a minority here. Just people are just normal, and this is just a nice little reminder of just how normal to me the society is and how normal people act. Kids just do exactly what you'd expect them to do. It's a nice little video anyway. So yeah, this is kind of in reverse order actually. So here we go. The Comfort Woman, the historic apology, which we were talking about last week, and there are already some cracks starting to appear, particularly the fact that some of the Comfort Women themselves, and there are 46 or 47 still alive at the moment, were apparently outraged that they had not been consulted by the Foreign Ministry before announcing that they'd done a deal with Japan on the Comfort Woman apology. And there's even a video which I've got a link to which was posted on Time, of one of the Comfort Women going and just ripping strips off the Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs, saying, it's like you killed me twice, you sold us out, who are you working for, us or them? Very powerful and very, righteous anger at the fact that she was they seem to have accepted an apology on behalf of her without asking her what she thought. Hey, Brascafarian, good to see you, sir. So this type of action by the public, by the comfort woman against the government and against the Ministry of Foreign Affairs really has turned a lot of public opinion in Korea inevitably against the deal. They don't want to accept this apology and payment, which is the third apology and payment that they've had on this specific issue. Granted, the first one was kept secret from them, but the second two. So there's also a big political, there's a big partisan affiliation. People who don't like Park don't want her to get credit for resolving this issue. So and she's very unpopular at the moment anyway. So everyone who doesn't like Park is saying, this is they sold us out kind of thing. And the foreign ministry came back and responded to the comfort woman, hey, we consulted with them 15 times during the secret negotiations. So that's not exactly fair that they're saying this about us at the moment. But there's actually apparently a lot of angst going on in Korean society about whether to accept this apology or not, because they want to be entitled to keep their anger and say that this is an unresolved injustice. Which they're within their rights doing as victims, but at the same time, how long can you objectively criticize Japan for not having done enough? This is proof to some extent that Japan can't do enough, which maybe is true. A lot of stories coming from CES. I haven't saved a lot of them at the moment, but just this one is interesting. The average. So apparently the YouTube chief business officer Robert Kleinkel, I don't know if that's how you pronounce that, he mentioned that apparently now the average web video viewer watches 75 minutes of web video a day. I wonder if that's really true. I'm not sure that I watch that much, although I would if I could. But if you look at that and you look at Nielsen, and I know people in the TV industry who there's a crisis going on. People barely, people pay for cable and they barely watch that much per week at the moment. And people are watching much more, and they're much more engaged with online video. And you've got to ask sooner or later, although advertising is continuing to send the money where they know where to send it, to media companies, they are they're not sending it to the place that people are watching anymore. We just had Kohaku Utagasen, the end of year song competition on NHK, which is always the top rating show every year in Japan at the end of year, and they had the record low ratings of like 35% or something, which is crisis levels low. Kiri Washington, thank you for joining. And I was actually just reading the article that I think it was you on Twitter who was asking me to talk about that article about the labor situation with Eikaiwas. I will actually come to that separately. It's not in the magazine, but I will come to that. And remind me if I forget. But anyway, so this whole thing, and this is what Ace was talking about, it's what I've heard other people talk about. Advertising companies are kind of fools if they're not paying YouTube and paying YouTubers at least as much, and frankly they should be spending more of their budget now on web video than they should be on broadcast TV and media. So there you go. This is kind of proof of that Nissan R33RZ tune. So this is kind of, they're making a very powerful point here that if you're not, your ads are not being seen by anybody unless they're on web video, and YouTube is the number one place for web video. So and another important point, I think as viewers we have to think about ad blockers. I know it's kind of a pain, and I like to skip the ads. My son's used to how you just click on the skip ad. But actually blocking the ads kind of, well, maybe YouTube's got to figure out another way around it. But the whole point is that getting the advertisers there is what kind of means will bring all the money for making sure that the genre gets better, making sure that all the best content comes on there, and that's kind of a little bit what's inhibiting it at the moment. I mean, PewDiePie was right to say that we have to figure out the right way around it. But point is that this is where people are watching, and they are not watching TVs anymore. TVs, is too passive or whatever. So it's a really interesting step. This week, the first episode of Japan Business Time with Rochelle Cobb, my new series, started up with Rochelle, and it was pretty awesome. It's a great series. We've got like 8 episodes. You know what? I can probably give you a sneak preview of what the. Let me go back into my YouTube app. I wonder if this will show. my videos, including the ones that are scheduled. I think it will. There we go. Oh, except I can't. So, now how can I do this in landscape? Oh, that won't work if I do it that way though. So you can see the episode for next week is Gaijin versus Gaijin. There's another episode, what happens when shit goes down. How do Japanese react to more efficient foreigners coming on the scene? Banishment rooms and karoshi. How to get Japanese engaged in discussions. How to break the rice paper ceiling. And passive aggression in Japanese business. These are the episodes. All except for the last one, which is my own one. These are all based on comments by credited. We give credit to them. Oh, I can't do that because that will start to play and screw that up, so I'll stop that. But basically, the comments, the people who made comments and asked for topics in the first series, we gave them entire shows credited with credit to the people who did it. Indeed, El Comedo got credit for the first show. It was his topic first of how to do Rachel's job. And the backgrounds were done by Pug-chan, as well as my avatar. Also, Rochelle has her own artist who did her avatar as well. She's got books and stuff coming out. A bunch of information. She's coming back to Japan in February, where I'm hoping to record some more episodes, including the one that we wanted to do on office romance that we didn't get into on this one, which is a fantastic topic. And hopefully we made a point. We might record it on Valentine's Day, which would be kind of cool if we can get round to doing that. Hey Ahmed, good to see you, my good man. So anyway, the season was great. It wasn't intentional that we ended up editing, that we ended up using the green room. It was actually the only place that was available. I wanted to use the same place on the main open stage in the YouTube studio that we used last time. It just wasn't available, and they said go use the green room, and we did, and it was all green. I was thinking, well, what do I do with this? And awesome, Pug-chan just really came through and just made a really, really nice background that works really, really well with the setup. And because of all of that effort, I put a little bit of extra love into the editing, which I hope people can see with the cuts and with the backgrounds and stuff like that. A few subtle things, music, credits, and all this sort of stuff to make sure everyone's getting the proper credit for everything. And it was pretty good. And there were some people in the comments here, in fact, a lot of people in the comments here, who got episodes in the upcoming series. And if you make comments on this series, you'll get episodes dedicated to your questions in the next series. So check it out. It looks really, really good. I'm really, really happy, and the topics are great. And the topics are great because you chose them. It wasn't us just trying to think of stuff. So that was pretty awesome. And thank you, everyone. Go watch it. The thing is, I put a lot of effort into this series, and I think this is a series which, Rochelle is the world authority on intercultural business issues involving Japanese companies. She is the best person in the world that you can find to talk about cross-cultural business issues involving Japan. And I've got a series with her. It's quite funny. Each one of the videos only has a couple hundred views, and I'm cool with that because I think the videos are good. But thank you, Ahmed. Thank you for joining. Hey, Nippon Culture Quest. Great to have you along. But the thing is I think that these videos, they're not based on a point in time. They're kind of timeless for what they are. The advice and the topics of discussion are really, really good. So yeah, it was it came out really, really good. So go and watch it and give it some love, because a bit of extra effort went into it, and I think it did come out really, really specially good. There'll be a few stories about the Korea thing that's kind of been going on during this week, and I'm doing this in reverse order at the moment. But yes, as you can see, soul weary of close ties too soon after the Comfort Woman deal. Indeed, they don't want to, given that the public thing about whether they're accepting this or not is kind of sensitive at the moment. And they don't want to be seen to be jumping straight into bed with Abe quite yet. But yeah, there's a great article that was put up by Tokyo Cheapo. We had Tokyo Cheapo, we had, I remember his last name, I'm not sure I'm allowed to say his last name. Well, actually there it is, Chris Kirkland. We had him on 2.5 Oyajis this year. And yeah, he was a great guest on the show. Tokyo Cheapo is a great guide to cheap, fun, tips for economic living in Tokyo. Ahmed, thanks for the compliments on the suit. Unfortunately, I have to wear it for every single episode. But yes, anyway, so Tokyo Cheapo is a great site that you should follow anyway, just with all sorts of tips for living in Japan and Tokyo and living economically and all the cool stuff which you can do, which, it's just dedicated to that theme, which is great. And they made a list of, I think, it was about 22, I think I had his account, Twitter people to follow that are Tokyo-based Twitter people. And with two types, people tweeting just generally about life in Tokyo and people tweeting about news. They were nice enough to include me, but it's a very good list actually of a lot of people that I already follow and some people that I started following after looking at this list. So go through the list quickly. I've got the Tokyo Files, Saint Steve, based in Kyushu, but yeah. Brian, me behind a desk. We've got Molboin, who is a fantastic account. One of my favorite Twitter accounts actually is Molboin. Gimmeabreakman, who I've followed for a long time. I've met a couple of times. She's lovely and well deserved there. Tokyo Architects. Greg Lane, who's Cheapo Greg from Tokyo Cheapo. There's Lost in Soul, Vivian Morelli, another one I hadn't heard of, but apparently she actually lives in Japan. There's Alicia in Tokyo, who's actually been a YouTuber as well. She's actually, I think a lot of people, she's been around the community for a long time, and she is great. One of my favorite people in the community actually. And her tweets are also very fun to watch. There's Mr. Kirkland, again, the author of this, Gaijin Rage. Yeah, I kind of checked out, it was alright. Joseph Tame is, of course, a man legend, YouTuber, and marathon runner with all sorts of stuff. But yes, there is Ako Kitamura, who's got a Japanese language teaching account, and it's actually very, very good quality stuff if you're into that. Rikshi Notabi, another person who I've followed for a long time, excellent account. Philip Brazer, I think, is a Japan Times editor. I'm not sure if he's an editor or not. I'm pretty sure he's an editor anyway, but a good news account there. Shogunai, who's always posting about news with very, very cynical comments that mean you have to be slightly careful about retweeting. But yeah, that's right. We got msalt69. You always wonder about people who put 69 in their Twitter handles, what they really mean by that. And Ella Nishimura has actually got a good account there, and Asia Chaos, and has a nice avatar indeed. And the news, the journo poll. It's funny. I ended up somehow in the second category, which I don't really deserve to, except I do post a lot of stuff about news, as this what this whole show is about. Let's go through them. Observing Japan, Tobias Harris, someone I didn't know, but I've added to my list. William Pesek. He's an editor of, is he the New York Times guy, I think. Well, I get them all mixed up all the time, but anyway, very, very famous dude who I don't remember. Robotopia, another Tim Horniak. Again, Japan Times guy, and I quite enjoy his account. Justin McCurry, he's a correspondent for The Guardian. He's doing a fantastic job. The Guardian coverage of Japan under this guy, Justin McCurry, is through the roof good. He's actually one of the best correspondents, I think. Hey, the Japan dude, welcome to the show. Who else we got there? Very good looking guy, me. We also have Richard Lloyd Parry, Dick LP. Again, I really wonder what people are thinking sometimes. Well, his name is Richard. So, no, I think he's got a good excuse. Anyway, he seems to be good. Hiroko Tabuchi, I've been following forever. She's a legend. And Michael Thomas Kuchek, who I've also been following forever and also think is a legend. And Michael Fitzpatrick, Fitzb, don't know the guy, but started following him after this. And it's a great list of people to follow on Twitter just for information about Japan and good stuff to read. So, good work there, Tokyo Cheapo. And go follow Tokyo Cheapo as well, because they're awesome. They're really good. Hey, Tai Nakamura, great to see you. Thank you for the nice comments as well on the Japan Business Time thing, and good to have you along. What else we got here? So yes, the Becky scandal. Again, this is kind of in reverse order, so let's go to the thing here first. To tell you the truth, I haven't really downloaded all of this story or all of the background on this. Hey, Hemmingford Grey 62, I haven't shouted you out there, but yes. And yes, it probably is my last birthday that did that to me. So I'm not the expert on the Becky story, and Victor has uploaded a video talking with a bunch of housewives about the Becky story, but in essence it sounds like Becky, who's a long-time talento and known for really being one of the more wholesome talents. She's half English, half Japanese. She's been a talento forever. She's with the talent agency, which they restrict, the relationships and so on. They control them very tightly. But it's partly because of this kind of very nice girl image that she has, that she's, that she's marketed based upon. She's been like the spokesperson, or kind of the poster girl for my favorite ramen chain, Tenka Ipin. At least my favorite major chain. I like Manshaw actually better, although Tenka Ipin is everywhere. I love it. So it's based on this kind of very family-friendly kind of, kind of very Disney type image, I guess, that she has. But that said, she has been around for a long time. I don't know exactly how old she is, but she's probably getting into her mid-30s by now. And she's never visibly been out in public, in a relationship that I'm aware of. And so it turns out she was in a relationship with a guy who I think is like from a musician or something like that. In fact, I don't actually know the guy. I've been so out of touch with Japanese pop culture on TV. But anyway, the guy was married and apparently has a family. But she was going out with him for a long time, and actually broke off with him before the scandal broke. But when the scandal broke, some of her line messages and so on came out. And it turned out, she'd been having an affair, an adulterous affair. And that seems to be the pattern whenever the media gets a story about, a famous news reader who's not attached or isn't married, having an affair with a married man. It's funny, the coverage is almost, she's 31. Okay, well, there you go. She's, I thought... It's funny, it feels like she's been around for as long as I've been in Japan, but there again, I've been around for 17 years, so I guess not. And thank you for putting that so clearly, James Zahara. That's unmissable, the age. So yes, that's extremely clear. Thank you for that. So anyway, as the thing usually happens, all the condemnation goes to this terrible devil woman who's misled this poor innocent, married man. And you don't hear anything about the man. I don't really understand why that is. And I know this isn't just a Japan thing. This is all over the world, of course. But it is like, I don't know, it's like either they're not covering the man because they're assuming he's going to have enough problems with his own family, the media's just going to be nice and not add to it by condemning him or something. Or they're almost actually like blaming the woman as a seductress of the man, like ruining the family or something and breaking a home. Granted, neither of them are really in the clear on this, but if either is done worse or deserves more condemnation, surely it's the married person. So anyway, I mean, and from my perspective, when I saw this, I was kind of like, well, I'm a big fan of Becky, and she's got this very wholesome image, and she is getting along a little bit, and she's probably a lonely relationship managed TV star. I'm almost like way to go, girl, honestly. I'm glad to hear that she's actually gotten to have sex with somebody, because it's actually very hard to do in the Japanese entertainment industry, at least, because of all the restrictions. To me, I could give a shit. And actually, in solidarity with Becky, as soon as I read this story, and there's a lot of discussion going on Twitter, foreigners seem to me almost universally supportive, even Japanese. He's got a lot of fans, and most people were actually... even among the Japanese commentary about this, it's about 50-50 split. Most Japanese as well are condemning the negative coverage of her. Again, it's just because of the positive image that she has. But she is a spokesperson for my favorite ramen chain, so I'm going to show... She's tempted me before. She made me go to Tenkaippin. I'm going to go to Tenkaippin, and I went, and I got Tenkaippin. This is the Buddha kimchi. That's kimchi with pork, stir-fried with onions on top. It's like the best thing ever. And this is the Buddha kimchi teishoku that I got. Kotteri broth, katame, al dente noodles, and some rice there. I had that. But the thing is, when I went into the restaurant that she's a spokesperson of to support her, I went in, and all of her posters had been ripped down, and it was really awkward because you could see like the faded marks behind the posters where they'd been taken down, and like there were only like 3 posters, which are posters not involving her around the restaurant. It was super awkward actually, and they had obviously like abandoned her. It's still good ramen, but it's, I'd feel more confident if the Becky posters were back up. I mean, it's good ramen. Maybe I'm not going to be able to go there until she's back. I don't know. But anyway, so the whole scandal thing per se for me is it's kind of BS. I think I saw Ahmed saying anyway that he does feel like he can blame the woman to some extent. More than the dude, because it's easier for men to fall for sex, but both are at fault, of course. Well, that's an interesting one. I don't know that men or women have either has a stronger predisposition to fall for sex, but in any case, in terms of there having been a wrong done, who has done more wrong? In terms of blame, I have no idea about who is to blame, but in terms of who has done more wrong, there's no question it's the guy. And yeah, we're dudes, and we're weak, and we're stupid, but again, I all I can think is congratulations, Becky, and I'm sorry that I feel sorry for her that she has to go through the scandal. I don't know. And I was just joking. I was joking with Victor last night. It scares me to think, as a married man, I could be seduced by a beautiful, lonely, TV star celebrity. So I don't know. It's a bullshit scandal, but it's a big one. It's going around. It's been a big topic of discussion this week, and it's worth being on there. But I'm with her. I hope that she's having all of her work and so on cut off by this. I don't know what's happening to the dude. I assume nothing. And it's kind of bullshit. Actually, I would support businesses that support her through this personally. More stuff again. Koreans still being divided over the comfort women agreement for the stuff I talked about earlier. There's a big story this week that Japan has a maternity leave law, and they have a parental leave law which allows 1 year leave for parents when children are born. It's almost always used by the woman and almost never used by the man. Apparently 2.something%. And by the way, this is Mariko Oi, but actually that guy before, was it Justin McCurry, or the Guardian correspondent? He did a great thing covering this as well. So apparently hardly anyone uses it, but this politician from the LDP, he wanted to be the first politician ever to use paternity leave, and kind of set a good example for what Abe is talking about being a society that's more supportive of child rearing and makes that easier. He actually married another politician. They're both on the LDP. Try not to hold that against them too much. But yes, in fact, so there were 2.3% of those eligible in Japan took it, apparently, and the government wants to raise so the government actually has a policy of wanting to raise the number of people taking paternity leave to 13%. By the way, I was turned down paternity leave, and I wasn't in a Japanese company. I was in an American company. Well, but American companies are terrible because they don't give any maternity leave either, I guess. So maybe that's to be expected. But just to remind us all that Japan actually has very, very generous legislation on maternity leave, like way more generous actually than America or a lot of Western countries. But there's a culture stigma against taking paternity leave, and apparently what happened was when this guy applied for paternity leave, some of the elders in the LDP said, wait a minute, you might be harming the image of us politicians with voters thinking that we're just being lazy. You voted us into work and you're going away, having a vacation just because of some baby being born that a woman should be looking after. You're going to harm the image of the party if you take this. This is for people from the same party that have a target for increasing the amount of paternity leave being taken. So it's kind of ridiculous. So it's actually controversial that he's taking leave while the government at the same time is supposedly at least paying lip service to improving this. Good on him. Good on him. Good on you, Kensuke Miyazaki. And good luck to you and your wife, even though I hope you lose the next election and you lose your seat and you get kicked out of Parliament and all that stuff at the same time. Congratulations. Good move on the paternity leave. Anyway. And yeah, just, that push to look after your families. How many of you people know about this? This site only just shows the video. This is actually an advertisement for. This video is so bad that a lot of people thought this just must be like a fake video. In fact, I saw some people on here. Hey, Brainium, good to see you. Good morning. I saw Raz Al Ghul was one of the people who said this has to be fake, and I agreed when I first saw it. But I checked out. This company, Illy, has made this genius device. It's brilliant. It's like the size of a little. Like an Apple TV remote control. It's just a little whistle size thing. You can talk into it and it comes out the other side. It translates pretty well. I was really impressed with the ability to take large phrases and translate them pretty well. And so he's not actually Julian LeBlanc. I called him Julian LeBlanc on my blog, but on my Facebook. But he's being paid. This is obviously a staged video. But the idea was they thought it'd be very clever and attention getting to advertise the product in a video, to make it go viral by having a foreigner run around Tokyo, kind of crossing the line a little bit, being a little bit risque, sexually harassing, and on some parts of the video borderline sexually assaulting women using this translation device. I don't know, part of me doesn't want to encourage you to work. The thing is, the device itself does look pretty genius and it has gotten a lot of attention, but at the same time the attention's been, this is a tool for rapists pretty much, and there was some controversy. There's a lot of discussion on Facebook, and someone Michaela said this video is a little bit rapey, which I completely agreed with. I think it is. I think the parts where he's chasing after women who are trying to fend him off are sexual assault. You could be arrested for that if that was real. Berger makes a point as well. No, his nationality isn't really the problem. It does make everything look worse a little bit when you have someone with a supercilious accent on top of everything, just going around sexually assaulting people. If it's like an Alabama accent or something like that, like a really broad redneck type of a redneck Australian accent or redneck American, it's almost like, well, okay, I can, this is wrong, but it kind of makes sense. But so anyway, the worst advertisement ever for a product that actually looks really, really good, and I'm hoping that some Chinese company violates their patents and releases a different, competing version that doesn't involve attempted rape for the marketing campaign, or that perhaps the next product that this company releases is like a multilingual translating rape whistle that says a creepy English dude is chasing me and trying to rape me, please police, come and beat this person up. There is that word again. That's right, Barrage, I said it on purpose. So it did, but and some people were saying, well, look, that's what the startup that made this product was going for. They were going for these exploding these exploding comment sections. Eltonic, that's a good philosophical question, and again, you'd have to watch the video and make up your own mind as to why. I mean, it's not so much that they need the translator, I guess, because clearly for some of the cases he wasn't taking no for an answer. But it's just more for the fact that I think they're trying to market on the basis that, apparently quasi-rapists seem to be good for advertising your product, and I can't really think of anything other than rape whistles that would be good marketing for. But yeah, Icarus is saying, yeah, indeed, you don't think any translators would actually like that to be released, though. Well, as someone who does translation and who makes a living partly off being multilingual, I'm really impressed with this technology. If that's automated translation, which is what it appears to be, the quality does appear in that video to be very good, in spite of the fact he's attempting to sexually assault people using that language. And I'm hopeful. I'm actually hopeful and optimistic that we will one day have machine translation that is as good as humans. I've always been one of the people who's been very skeptical about machine translation, basically because machine translation has always been done wrong. It's been machine translation, or these automatic dictionaries to date, they've been coded by programmers who think of language the same as computer language, i.e. everything is logical, based on rules, based on principles, where A equals B, and you just have to, the same way that you would establish a programming layer language, you just have to say dog equals inu, car equals kuruma, put in all the grammar rules, program in the grammar rules and all the words, translate the dictionary, and you're going to have perfect machine translation. And that is, of course, wrong. The fact is, it's not just the changing of the words. There are phrases. Words can have multiple meanings and nuances. Phrases change, and you have the whole human culture and everything that's embedded in the way that people express things. Even if you can translate the words, sometimes you don't get the message across in different languages. So you need someone who really knows the language and the culture, and really human level machine translation only starts not on translating all the words and the grammar, not on that basis, it's by phrase. That's where I think ELK is the best dictionary online, because it allows a lot of translations by phrases, and that's where the problem to date has just been the computing power required for the millions of different phrases and combinations. It's not just knowing the 5 words, having translations for the 5 words in a phrase. It's all the combinations of those words and the different meanings that those have together. So it's not just all the words in the language. It's not a matter of just 10,000 words or 20,000 words. It's a matter of like 10 million different phrases. The thing is, now we have enough computing power, and people have cottoned on to this being the issue, and it means that you've seen a lot of machine translation has dramatically gotten better based on this whole change of approach. And I think as computing power improves and the ability to parse and gather and correctly apply and link equivalent phrases between languages, I think it is going to get better. But I still think we're a long way off that. But that said, what this demonstration of this product showed was that this translates much better than anything automatic that I've seen before, which is impressive. I mean, granted, which for a marketing campaign, so I'm guessing they were very careful to only use phrases that would come out right. But yes, the Managua, I don't know about the Managua girls, and I almost get the feeling I don't want to ask what those are, so there you go. So the thing is, as part of a general trend, I think that automatic translation is inevitably going to come. A person is always going to be better, because, well, I think I still think we're a long way from having machines being as good as people for translating languages, for the reasons I just said. But that said, I think there will be a day within my lifetime that you're not gonna need translator. You're going to be able to travel anywhere in the world and have automatic translation, maybe, or something like that. But they're not going to sell a lot of those marketing them with sexual assault, so please don't do that. It's just stupid. And I know that they were going for attention and they got it, but it's not true that any news, any PR is good PR. I'm sorry, that's the way I see that. Interesting editorial by Mainichi saying it's time for Japan to open up to immigration. Just recognizing that this is from within. This is from a major Japanese newspaper. The goals that Abe has for sustaining the population at 100 million are just not possible. They're based on basically completely unrealistic scenarios, not only of it being easier suddenly for women to work, but like almost from today they have to be having like 2 or 3 children, just to keep the population from declining beyond 100 million. It's just not possible. And yeah, James, that's not an appropriate word to use either. So anyway, there's another interesting, just a funny thing. This came up on Nichan. I noticed this last week. I didn't highlight it, but there is the JAXA, the Japan Space Agency. They wanted to do research on long-term isolation, on what would happen, for example, on a trip to Mars or whatever, by advertising 2 weeks volunteers to come and take part being isolated, locked in a room for 2 weeks just with an internet connection to simulate being in space, for pay of 3,800 or 3,500 US dollars, 38 man. When they posted this, someone posted it on Nichan and said, "Hey, you guys, all you shut-ins on Nichan, you'll be really into this," and posted the story. And the very first respondent on Nichan I remember seeing on this highlight thread was, "I would like to request to be locked in the isolated room for 2 months, please." They actually got a record number of responses, almost entirely based on the viral thing. This is basically Japan's Reddit, right? Nichan. Here it is. 2-week program where they get paid 38 man, so 3,200, looking for healthy men between 20 and 25. And how many? They got like 11,000. Well, anyway, they got thousands. They were only looking for a couple of applicants, and they got thousands. And they were like, the space agency was like, "We're so happy that so many people are interested in space." But no, this was just a chance for shut-ins to get paid for being shut-ins. And I really hope that they screen properly the people who are applying for this. But it's kind of funny anyway, just how it became a thing. North Korea this week, they detonated a hydrogen bomb. Of course, they didn't actually detonate a hydrogen bomb. They just said they did. It was a 6-kiloton underground explosion, which caused a little earthquake. A hydrogen bomb for ants. And yes, Phoenix 787, you hit on the problem right there. This is like the 4th nuclear test that they've done, and it's honestly it's like building another Death Star. It's like, come on, have you got nothing more original to scare us with? America responded very interestingly today. They flew a B-52 nuclear strategic bomber into South Korea. But there's been this big deal made about keeping the Korean peninsula nuclear free, and that's a goal that basically even America, most powers want that. They don't want America to have South Korea as a base for launching nukes against North Korea, because they could also use those nukes against Russia or against China. And China in particular does not want to allow any nuclear weapons to be on they don't want a nuclear armed America with nukes right on its doorstep, able to fire a nuke to Beijing in 5 minutes. So this is why they've put such efforts into trying to make sure that both North Korea and South Korea do not obtain nuclear weapons. And in exchange for that, America has refrained from keeping nukes on the peninsula until now. and in exchange for that, South China's put pressure on North Korea not to, go too far with its nuclear program. However, North Korea's obviously gone off the reservation, and America just went and landed a B-52, a nuclear-capable B-52 in South Korea today. And it is indeed. I think America is sending a message to everybody that look, if they are now saying that they have a hydrogen bomb and they're going to be regularly, and that is correct, Eltonic. If they're going to have regular nuclear tests, then America's got no choice but to put a bunch of nukes in South Korea, which, by the way, puts, of course, South Korea at risk, of course, of being subject a nuclear target. But it also means that China's ambitions for basically seeing a declining America and replacing a declining America in the region and increasing its influence over Okinawa, over Taiwan, over the South China Sea. No, you're going to have on the Asian mainland, America's announcing they're going to put nukes there on the Asian mainland, and those nukes are going to be there not just to restrain North Korea, but they're going to restrain China as well, and China knows that. So this is really, it's an good on Obama for sending a strong message back to North Korea, like not just ignoring them, but actually doing something like this. And I think it's kind of forcing China's hand to get involved and to try to bring them under some sort of control, because this isn't really good for anybody. So good to see. This, of all the products at CES that excited me, this excited me the most. I've got a Theta, which is basically a 1080p 360-degree camera, very compact, very easy to use. The resolution's kind of crap, and I can kind of see that you really need 4K to really start to have good 360-degree virtual reality videos. Nikon's just announced that they're releasing one, and it's going to be 4K resolution. And it's going to be super compact, like you can put on top of a helmet. It's basically smaller than a GoPro, and it's full 360. It's by Nikon, and it's 4K. So I really want that. This looks super interesting to me. I think I might get this when it comes out. I'm going to keep a good eye on what the price is going to be. This is what I thought GoPro would bring out, and they're still working on their 360-degree camera. But I think this is awesome. And look at that, it's Wi-Fi compatible. I mean, it might be compatible for live streaming. That'd be kind of awesome. Anyway, so that was like my favorite thing from the from CES actually. This person, Evie Lund, she did a not bad list of things that mistakes that foreigners make in Japan. A lot of these are very cheesy and very cringeworthy and kind of naive, but this is actually a pretty good list. How not to be a dick in Japan. Let's call it that, shall we? Gaijin smashing, getting away with bad behavior because, relying on Japanese being reluctant to, deal with foreigners making trouble, just wanted to get rid of them. So gaijin smashing, don't do that because you ruin it for all of us. This next one polarized some commenters. There were some people saying, this person saying, don't be a dick in terms of cutting off being a dick towards other foreigners, and at the same time, don't be one of those foreigners who just hangs out with other foreigners and cuts out Japanese. Don't do that. Well, people can do what they like. I was the type of person who cut out foreigners for my first couple of years in Japan. I think it's fine what people do, but sure, don't be a dick. I think it's a reasonable thing. Favoring one culture over another. Well, yeah, again, it's kind of like, don't go too crazy or whatever, but wallowing in negativity and living in denial. Yes, Japan sucks posting online. A lot of people get into that. Getting stuck in a rut, indeed. Taking a break, working too hard happens to everybody. It's good advice. It's not bad. Most of these are kind of powder puff kind of blogs, but this one I thought was better. It was above average for the genre, so that's pretty good. I think we all have to gaijin smash every now and then. Just don't try to do it too badly. But yes. Sorry, I'm distracted by the comments at the moment, but yes, just coming back. Twitter is thinking of expanding the tweets up to 10,000 characters. I really wonder what that's going to be like. Part of me does want a few extra words to be able to write what I think about what I post a little bit more, but at the same time, 10,000, you're really risking turning it into Tumblr, which I'm not sure you really want to do. I was thinking this could kill Twitter, but at the same time, Twitter's not perfect. It's got some frustration with the short number of characters, but that's kind of the magic that also makes it work. This is interesting. It'll be interesting to see this year, and I think it was Kim.com was pointing out he wanted to do a poll. Which scares you more, North Korea's H-bomb or Twitter expanding tweets to 10,000 characters? And you know what? In terms of what's likely to affect us, it's probably this one affects us more. Casio has finally gotten to the smartwatch game. I've got a smartwatch right here. Look at this. This is analog, but it's withing. So let me see if that can get into focus. Maybe it can't. But it's got a little step pedometer in it, as well as an analog. It's an analog format watch, but it's actually connected to my iPhone, so it's always up on good time. But yeah, so Casio is finally bringing out a G-Shock smartphone, so that's kind of cool. They're finally getting into that Swatch as well, Fossil as well, Tag Heuer. So it's finally getting interesting now. By the way, and as Korea goes through these very sensitive and difficult negotiations to try to get people to accept the deal that they made with Japan, there was one thing which wasn't included in the written deal, but the Japanese the Japanese Foreign Ministry has been clear. It was kind of understood and it was verbally agreed that the Foreign Ministry of Korea would pressure the NGOs that put up the Comfort Woman statue to move it or remove it. Because it's not run by the government, they couldn't promise to do it, to actually remove it themselves, but they promised that they would try to work on getting the NGOs to move it. Right now, when everyone's a bit in both, not sure whether to accept the apology and the deal or not, for Japan to be saying, hey, they're going to get rid of that stupid statue as well, is kind of inflammatory. But Kishida's saying openly, hey, that's the deal, that's what they said they'd do. And the Korean Foreign Ministry issued a statement responding to that, saying, we would appreciate if the Japanese side could not make statements that make our job more difficult. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. This is super interesting. The University of Kyushu has done research where they have actually, only for rocks, paper, scissors so far, but they've actually been able to read words from the thoughts of brainwaves of students in experiments. I think it was literally gu, choki, pa. So, gu, rock, choki, scissors, paper, pa. But they would basically have people play rock, paper, scissors just with thinking the words in their head, and they were able to read the brainwaves of thinking those words. So it's a small first step, but it's the first time that they've ever actually been able to, with human subjects, apparently, be able to read complete words. So it's kind of amazing. Last year there was some technology of people being able to recognize through brainwaves shapes that people are thinking of. And now we have brainwaves for different words. Apparently it also extends to seasons. And immediately, of course, Nichan starts shuddering that they're going to find out that they are perverts if they can understand what they're thinking. This is the age that we're going into. This is already happening now. We already have technology to read the thoughts, visual, and the words that people are thinking of. So that's kind of cool and kind of scary. Eitaidori Cruising, that's a track that I played earlier tonight. Which track did you like better, by the way? Tell me, did you like Skytree or Eitaidori Cruising? This is the older one. I like to think that they're progressing, but I'm kind of curious to hear what you guys thought about those first two tracks. I think I'll play them on the way out. I mentioned about the Korean comfort women going and exploding in the Korean Foreign Ministry. How could you sell us down the river like this? The video is there, I think, on the Time article. It was on Facebook. You can go and look at it. She's very, very angry, and someone from the New York Times, I think, translated it. Why are you killing us twice? Very powerful stuff, and again, probably why this issue can't be fixed, frankly, but that's what it is. And the final story that I've got tonight, Japan's changing attitude to smoking. And I'll just quickly say, Japan's attitude to smoking, like in the 10 years that I've been here, 17 years that I've been here, but particularly in the last 10 years, is really dramatic. It's kind of funny how the approach has been different, where now when I go to Australia or America, you see a lot of people smoking outdoors, but in Japan, the focus has been on reducing the visibility of smoking outdoors and banning smoking while walking around. So the only people can smoke are actually indoors in ventilated, sealed-off smoking areas. In some restaurants and some offices, and those are declining as well. But it just means that there's been a real dramatic decline in the visibility of smoking and the encountering of smoke, which it surprised me. I ran into smoke more in Australia in parks and outdoors where people are free to smoke than I run into here in Tokyo now, because I never run into it outside, and people can't smoke inside the offices. It's only if you go to a smoking area that you run into it. So I think Japan's kind of funny, just in their own guerrilla type way. They've actually come up with a very effective solution for the smoking thing. We're coming up on the hour. So, which one? Oh, by the way, that's right. Phoenix used my track recently for a. Oh, by the way, Kiri, I haven't talked about your article, so let me go and find that. Since we've got a couple of minutes, I did do a track which Phoenix 787 was good enough to use on their recent on his recent time lapse walking around Shibuya, which was a good video. But go and get the Microsoft Hyperlapse application or iOS Hyperlapse app, and it'll be super smooth and even cooler. But it came out really, really good and nice use of my music. This is Tokyo Bro, so thank you for that. So where is it? It was from Kiri, who was asking me to talk about this thing, and it was here. Boom. So I'll highlight the article and I'll retweet this. I'll add this a bit later on, actually, to my Flipboard. But the article that Kiri drew attention to was for Japan's English teachers, rays of hope amid the race to the bottom. I'll go and read it on Japan Times. That's what you're supposed to do. But just to paraphrase what it's about, it's talking about how, as the English in teaching industry, and this is talking mainly about eikaiwas, about English teaching schools in this article, in this thing. Well, they continue to pay less and less, and trying to find dodgy ways to avoid paying for healthcare and insurance and stuff like that. And they find ways to screw their unions or screw people, their own members who are in unions, their own employees who are in unions. There are some court cases going on where they've managed to affirm rights for people who work in eikaiwa. But at the same time, there's a decline in the business overall at the moment. A lot of the big eikaiwa have gone out of business. A lot of the big eikaiwa have been in huge lawsuits against their own employees as they're feeling economically squeezed. But there are good signs and negative signs about that. I don't know much about the eikaiwa business. The big collapse of Nova, and there are a few other big chains which have gone out of business recently. The other thing is that where this is really coming from that I see is that Japanese it used to be something when I came to Japan, even if they hated English, everyone would at least go in tokenly go to an eikaiwa. It was something everybody did, and everyone would learn some English. A lot of the young people who are joining companies now don't even care to learn English. You don't have as many people going on overseas exchanges, and even though companies still are putting pressure on people to have a TOEIC score of such and such, it's something they only really begrudgingly do. And a lot of where there really used to be a couple of eikaiwa at every major station with big signs and everything, those are declining, and it is tough on the eikaiwas themselves. But that said, they're dealing with foreigners, and often transient, often not strictly qualified foreigners. There's kind of a mutual taking advantage of that happens in a lot of these cases. These glasses that causes the focus thing. Might not be, I don't know. I wish it was sharper, but anyway. There's a bit of a mutual thing there where, people want to be paid cash, or they don't want to, go through pay full tax or whatever. And, there's a lot of different arrangements at different eikaiwas at the moment. But it is an industry that is definitely getting squeezed. It's a tough industry. So to keep up with the latest on that, on rights, on new patterns of abuse and so on, it's a good article. It's enlightening to me because I don't know a lot about what's going on within it, but you do hear about a lot of people. I mean, again, on YouTube, a lot of people go onto YouTube with problems that they're having at their eikaiwas. My general advice is don't go out and directly badmouth your school, unless it's something like super bad, but it doesn't reflect well on you, and you put yourself at risk of being sued by the school. If you are sued. That said, in Phoenix, take note, I worked for eikaiwa when I was setting up in Japan. I was trying to get my visa, I was trying to get work experience, I was doing an apprenticeship to go and work at a law firm. I asked to work for free for that, and so I would work 8 hours a day for free at a law firm, and I'd work for 4 or 5 hours at night getting paid to cover my costs for my day at an eikaiwa. It's solid work that a lot of people do, even though it's a really tough industry, and you don't want to work in the wrong place, and you don't want to depend on it too much if it's possible. But that said, you get a good deal, especially if you pick up a deal outside of Tokyo. You can get paid pretty well, actually, and there are a lot of good deals out there, but you just have to be super careful. So go and check out this article. I will retweet it right now. In fact, that's on Twitter, so I will retweet it right now from Kiri. Thank you for that, and I will also try to remember to post that into my Facebook, into my Flipboard after this. So yeah, I hope you like that. I'll tell you what, let's do an outro. I've just I'll show you the app perhaps that I created the first track in the so let me do this. Boom, 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 boom. There's iMachine. Let's flip that around. Will it flip around? There we go. So the volume should be set. So basically I created all of these pads to be kind of customized. I picked them out of the sound bank. I'll do a tutorial on this sometime, but basically, oh, that's on. Is that going out? I think it is. And that is all these pads are me. This is where I put all the drop sounds, the sort of dubstep sounds. This is the organs. I actually took the same sample and I actually edited it so that I changed the pitch. So on this one you can see, in fact, where is it? You can see I've changed the pitch on some of these. But where is it? Tune. But well, actually, that's what I did over here. That's these ones. So yeah, you know, you can actually really in fine detail edit these tracks. And I didn't even use the full set of pads actually. Neither did I. Just used 3. That was more than enough. And I figured out as well I could leave more room for my drum and bass tracks if I just did it at, instead of 165 BPM, I did it at 82 BPM. So it actually doubled the amount of space I had to set out tracks. And you know, all of these, I just built it up bit by bit. And yeah, it's a different app. It gives you a lot more control. Still a lot of things I wish it had, but it's pretty cool, and that's why it sounds different to my other tracks indeed. And I'm still learning how to use it, but it's pretty sweet. So anyway, that is what I've been playing around with. Boom, that is much clearer, although you can see I haven't shaved as well if I look at this one. 2 me's as well. So that is the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to do a tutorial, which I'll probably do at some point. So yes. Have a good night, everybody. Come join me again next week. Don't forget to check out the second episode of Japan Business Time, which is going to be on this Wednesday. It's going to go live this Wednesday at 9 PM. They're already set to go, so they're scheduled. They're just going to go live one by one. So make sure you enjoy that. Come and join me for 2.5 Oyajis next week, and of course come back to Tokyo Tonight this time next week. I hope you guys all have a great week. Great to see you all. Great to have the comments, which I'm going to enjoy reading after this. And peace. Have a good week, everybody. Let's go. Say good night. Stop streaming. Boom. Do I really want to say good night? Yep.